part of ensuring the development of a modern society equipped with high-quality public services to the citizens of a country is the maintenance of a comprehensive system for the management of immigration, emigration, and registration documents. On this episode of Government in Action, we will take a look at the Department of Citizenship, which falls under the Ministry of the Presidency, and the work that is being done to create a modern and dependable network of public records. Under the Department of Citizenship falls a robust mandate. It holds the responsibility of efficiently issuing passports and birth certificates to all citizens, the issuance of marriage and death certificates, as well as the issuance of visas for persons visiting Guyana for business, employment, or leisure. Added to that, the department, managed through the Ministerial Office of the Minister of Citizenship, Mr. Winston Felix, processes applications for the naturalization of foreigners as well as the management of immigration matters such as arrivals, departures, length of stay, and illegal or legal entry into the country. But with the age of technological advancement comes the demand that such essential services be both efficiently distributed and easily accessible. President David Granger has stated that every Guyanese should be able to access basic services as part of the good life at the annual general meeting of the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry in March. The President noted that these services should be accessible in every capital town.
Capital towns, therefore, however small they may be at first, could grow into centers of economic vibrancy and economic diversification. They must position themselves, however, at the cutting edge of our economy. Capital towns must be firmly established and could lead the way in the development of services to our citizens. In terms of public services, they must be able to provide the full range of education, health, housing, water, energy, law enforcement, taxation, immigration, insurance, and registration of births, deaths, and businesses.
Along those lines, the Department of Citizenship has been working to improve the execution of its services. Minister of Citizenship, Mr. Winston Felix, has said that the use of technology is vital in order to improve the efficiency with which services are delivered to the public.
If we are to examine the Immigration and Passport Office on Camp Road, you would recognize that between June and August last year, there was a hue and cry about long lines and persons having to wait long lines to apply for a passport. I feel that it is unreasonable to have Guyanese coming from quarantine, from Essequibo, from the interior, and to stand in long lines simply to apply for a simple document as a passport. And therefore, an examination was done of the situation, and we have commenced decentralization of the application for passports.
To ease this burden, the minister said that the department is currently aiming to decentralize its passport services to various parts of Guyana as part of the government's vision to make services more accessible to the people. On August 16, Linden became the first town to benefit from the process of decentralization. Minister Felix explained that persons applying for the renewal of passports or the replacement of lost, damaged, or filled passports will be able to make applications there weekly. Persons applying for passports for the first time, however, will still be required to visit the immigration office in Georgetown due to the machinery required to generate first-time machine-readable passports.
What we do at Linden is that we go 1 week and we interact with the public, we take their applications, and the next week we return with the passports and take further applications. And that is how we intend to work, so that there is no need to line up. Of course, there will be some waiting, because to process an application would take some time, and the person would be there to see that the person before them is being processed.
Minister Felix reported that so far approximately 1,000 renewed passports have been issued to residents in Region 10. On November 28, New Amsterdam became the second town to have these services instituted. The Department of Citizenship is also seeking to use a mobile service in an effort to help its decentralization. This will ensure a wider reach for hinterland regions across Guyana. Soon, the department will also extend its decentralization plans by setting up offices in Essequibo, Maburuma, Letem, and Perico. Moreover, due to the increased improvements within the Central Immigration and Passport Office, there has been marked reduction in the lineup for persons applying for passports. Deputy Chief Immigration Officer, Assistant Commissioner Dale Alves stated that this reduction has been seen within the last 3 months.
And that is primarily because the Minister of Citizenship, the Honorable Mr. Vincent Felix, DSMNP, would have been instrumental in us acquiring 6 additional workstations in the passport issuing control system. And since we have installed those 6 workstations, we were able to deal with members of the public who apply for passports in a much more efficient manner, in that we are able to process more persons at one time, and those would have seen a significant reduction in the amount of in the length and the amount of persons we would have on a daily basis. Before we would have acquired these additional workstations, we would have seen members of the public being lined up as early as 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. But now, persons coming probably for 7 and coming during the day, and within half an hour or less, they are being processed and then they are away from the office.
Plans to establish online applications for passports are currently being discussed with the e-government agency, the minister said. This will ensure easier processing of these applications for persons in Guyana and the diaspora. One of the fundamental rights of a child is to have his birth registered so as to be given equal access to basic opportunities throughout his life.
It is important, I must make this point, that births need to be registered. It puts the children at a disadvantage. It deprives them of services. 1, health services, you know, they need vaccination. 2, they have to go to school. And at school times, August, September, the office is usually bombarded with applications for birth certificates for children to go to school. But the process ought to start from their registration after birth.
The department has therefore been working to ensure that 100% registration of births is recorded countrywide. This initiative, Minister said, is being supported by the United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, and also includes raising awareness of the benefits of early birth registration.
And you know, birth registration has been not a very well done activity, not very popularly done, not done with the alacrity we expect it to be done with. And we were behind in terms of international positioning, but I think we're coming up now to the low 90s in terms of birth registration. We have been working with UNICEF. UNICEF has assisted us greatly. Last year, I think they aided us with somewhere in the vicinity of $6 million, because to get out to these outlying areas is very expensive. And we've gone to every region.
Acting Deputy Registrar, Ms. Dawn Britton, highlighted that the Registrar's Office has put several measures in place to ensure that every birth is registered.
You have in the hinterland all the health centers there, where there's a health post. They can do the registration of a child. As soon as a child is born, that child can be registered. We have reintroduced back the bedside registration. which we started with 2 pilot hospitals, Saudi Hospital, Georgetown Hospital. And so far, we have gone to all the hospitals, whereby as soon as a child is born, that mother is captured. That registration can be done, because some mothers leave the hospital and they don't go back to have the birth register. So with the reintroduction of the bedside registration, as soon as the baby is born, that baby be registered.
These initiatives, she said, will ease the burden of late registration, which begins 1 year after birth. Since 2003, officers have been going out into the fields to conduct door-to-door registration, and offices have also been established in regions 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Applications can also be made at any post office countrywide, thereby decentralizing the application process.
We implore in person to get registered, to get a birth certificate, because in Guyana, you need a birth certificate for nursery school, you need a birth certificate for the clinic, you need a birth certificate for the university, you need a birth certificate to have a passport, to have an ID card. Birth certificate is one of the main source documents in obtaining whatever business you're doing. Birth certificate becomes the main source document.
The process for birth registration usually takes about 4 to 6 weeks, but Ms. Britton stated that the Registrar's Office plans to make that process easier for citizens.
In electronic, one of the benefits we see in going electronics is it will be a faster process. We'll be able to issue birth certificates in a shorter time, and persons not knowing the date of birth, the accurate place of birth, being computerized, that search might be able to for us to find, because right now it's manual, and if you don't give the correct information, we cannot find it unless you lead us directly to the records. But electronically, you might be able to put in a name and you might be able to pull it up.
Though passports and birth certificates take up a large portion of the ministry's time, there are other important services offered under its umbrella, such as the issuance of marriage licenses, death certificates, and the issuance of visas. Minister Felix explained that focus is also being placed on the appointments of marriage officers. Last year, 15 marriage officers were trained and appointed, while 44 have been trained so far this year, even as training programs are ongoing. The department also grants naturalization for persons seeking to obtain Guyanese citizenship by marriage or descent. In the area of visa issuance, prior to being the responsibility of the Department of Citizenship, visa services fell under the Ministry of Home Affairs. With the new administration, these services were streamlined under one department in order to have a more holistic approach to citizenship-related matters. Ms. Carlotta Bruce, supervisor of the Immigration Support Services Department, stated that based on applications received, patterns have shown that the majority of persons applying for visas seek to visit the country for leisure, followed by employment, business, and educational purposes. As the government continues to aim for the good life, the Department of Citizenship contributes to this goal by ensuring citizens' registration and immigration matters are efficiently handled. This is Tashandra Ennis. Thank you for joining us.